They met with 12 special guests over 4 epic days on one incredible journey. Now, let's hear what Ben and Rob have to say about contact in the desert.
Hey, I'm Rob Counts, and I'm the host at Edge of Wonder.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm one of the hosts for Edge of Wonder. I really didn't know what to expect when we left for Indian Wells from New York.
I mean, you know, I've heard things about contact in the desert. I knew a bunch about the conference, but I was not really prepared for how awesome it was going to be. To have all of these people who, this is their life, this is what they're studying, this is what they're researching, to all be in one place and to have this open environment where you can all talk about it was like insane.
I had no idea. I was just hoping that we would be able to at least connect with a few people, maybe interview people.
The amount of information and confirmation that I got about a lot of the things that Ben and I have been looking into was like mind-blowing, really, because like it was just great to have that like validation in the work that we've been doing and like the truth that we've been trying to get out there.
Man, all of them were really good that we saw for sure. It's really hard to choose just one.
Well, it's hard to say one because like there were so many phenomenal speakers. Like it was different every place you went. The two that kind of blew my mind more than anything were definitely Emery Smith and David Wilcock.
The conversation between David Wilcock and Emery Smith on the very last day, they had like a 3.5 hour conversation. That wasn't even planned. I mean, it was just like a last spur of the moment. They're like, hey, you know, we're doing this final workshop thing. And that was phenomenal. They talked about things that Emery Smith never talked about before, that David Wilcock never even heard before.
For those of you who don't know, I mean, Emery is one of the biggest insiders right now. Just recently came forward in December. And I mean, some of the stuff he's been telling us about everything going on in these bases where he's worked, the technology he's been involved with. I mean, like the encounters he's had with extraterrestrials, some of the missions he's been on. It was like, it's honestly like crazier than the craziest movie you've ever seen.
In the middle of it, he started referencing Snow White and started saying mirror, mirror on the wall. And I just couldn't hold back anymore and actually stood up and I was talking about this and I was like, hey, it's not mirror, mirror on the wall anymore, it's magic mirror on the wall. And I was asking him like, do you know what's going on? And so I started mentioning a little bit about the Mandela effect.
It was just awesome. I mean, you can't really get more awesome than that.
I mean, there was a lot of things that was said. My gosh, actually, to choose one thing is kind of hard.
It's not like it was one thing. It was really this retelling from Emery Smith of some of the projects he's been involved with like interplanetary traveling through portals, which is like, what? We can do that? I mean, really, who's talking about that, right?
I'm gonna say 2. Emery Smith was talking about there's this technology that people use. They get in these special suits and they're in a huge, gigantic area and they can actually project themselves to a different area as these like shadow-like images. And they can, like, what he was saying was that he saw some in his home putting like wiretaps around in his home. He even kind of explained it was almost like a virtual reality thing that they put on. It goes all over their body and then they have to be in an open area because they have to have room to move, and it was just really kind of freaky and eerie. On a crazy deeper level, I would say it was the interview with Dr. Michael Salla. He put together something that kind of this missing piece that we were kind of looking for that we couldn't quite figure out, and it has to do with Antarctica and what's in Antarctica and why Antarctica is kind of like the battleground of disclosure right now.
Like the truth is stranger than fiction. It really is.
Man, there was actually a lot of funny stuff at the event. There was a lot of comical things going around. I mean, I keep talking about Emery Smith, but man, he was just kind of like the rock star there. I mean, he was really, really funny and also kind of serious at the same time.
When Emery Smith was explaining who Bigfoot really is, so some guy, like very long-winded question, this guy asks who Bigfoot is, and Emery is telling us that, you know, in the Everglades, Bigfoot is, they call them skunk apes. And it's actually, the reason why you can't see it all the time is that they're interdimensional foragers who come here to harvest things, and which is just like, everyone was just like, okay.
I can't remember what they called it, but it was this ray gun that they were talking about that when you shoot somebody, it just completely vaporizes them. It's like, what was?
Nozzler.
Nozzler, yeah, that's it, the Nozzler. So they were talking about this thing, and I mean, it's just this crazy, insane, like, why would anyone even invent this weapon? I mean, it shoots out this ball with this stuff around it, and then if it hits you, you just completely vaporize in like pile of ash. It's what you see in like a lot of sci-fi Star Trek movies or whatever, you know?
What I actually really cherish about it is that no one had to feel bad about talking about these things. I think if you're in ordinary society and you're walking around and you start telling someone you got abducted by aliens, people are gonna look at you like you were crazy. But in this environment, people are like, look, something happened to me. I don't know what happened to me, but something happened to me. And like, I'm here to get answers, you know?
It was just really interesting. You know, these people are all very in tune with their surroundings. I mean, we would just be walking from one place to the other, and I would just hear like just crazy conversations next to me of people walking, and they were just like, yeah, like the other day I was meditating and I connected with Lord Ashtar from, you know, the Pleiadians region and whatnot. It's just like, wow, you know, you can really just say anything to anybody. I mean, you could just meditate right here on the floor, on the grass, and, you know, people will probably end up sitting by you and joining you.
It was good to have an event where people who are seriously looking for answers can ask them and actually try to get one.
It kind of feels like one big family in a way, you know? Yes, it did actually, quite a bit.
I mean, I think it didn't change my perceptions. I think it furthered them. I was aware of how big a subject this was, but then to be into contact with people with so much information that they've gathered over such a long period of time, either interviewing people, doing research, or actually having contact with some of these entities, it's mind-blowing. And you definitely I have a broader understanding of how it works, and you know, a lot of people, when they're thinking about extraterrestrials, they automatically think these weird gray evil aliens, and it's like not, I guess that's a thing apparently, right? But it's not like those are the only beings, and not like there are positive ones apparently that really want to see the human race stop doing stupid things, stop, you know, like trying to kill one another and actually advance themselves spiritually and mentally. And you know, if that's true, that's great. I mean, that's, you know, that's a much different picture than the movies are telling us.
It's like a lot of these entities are waiting for the human race to evolve and be more compassionate. And the more that we're compassionate and put aside all of our like hate and anger and war and jealousy and all this stuff, it's like the more that they're going to be revealing themselves to us and try to help the human race, I guess.
I think the highlight of the event for me was seeing Emery Smith kind of let loose a little bit on everything that he's been experiencing. And actually, he's like a really down-to-earth, funny guy.
I would definitely say, which was a complete shock to me, was when we went out at night with Emery Smith. There was about 100 people or so, and they're gonna see if we can contact a UFO, or aliens, or not aliens, ETs. What they did was he had this machine that generated this special kind of light, and it gave off a sound, and it was different tones. So what they do is they play these sounds. They actually, his wife, I think it was his wife, yeah, it was his wife, that read original text in Sanskrit. They shine this this really powerful laser light in the sky. So then he blinks it 3 times, still shining up in the sky. As soon as he does that, we start seeing these long, huge blue streaks of light in the sky going across the entire sky. And it wasn't like a craft moving, it was like a stream of light going across. And then he's like, hey, you guys, you see these long trail of lights? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, that's them. He said they are scanning the entire area to see who's here, you know, what's our intentions is what they're doing. And he's like, you got to remember, they're not coming from like outer space and then coming to here. They're coming from another dimension. And they could be very, very small. And in that dimension, they're very tiny. And in our dimension, they'll be big. So they can actually, it's not like they're not restricted in size or time or space even. So, and he said also, they can even come up from the ground. They don't have to come from the sky. And he's like, usually the first night is just kind of making contact. And then later on, they might actually start showing themselves, or you will see the craft above them and whatnot. And I was just like, wow, that's crazy, you know? That was kind of like, the whole experience just kind of blew me away. So after all of that, he's like, okay, you know, it was over. He's like, hey, if anyone wants to stay, I have a very special gift. And he pulls out his replica of the Atacama skeleton, the one that we actually did a video on. That was just awesome because you know, we made this video. I've been following this skeleton for a while and what it is. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot there.
I probably wouldn't use a sentence. Yeah, I mean, it was just mind-blowing.
I think the thing that I was most shocked about was how many people came up to us and told us what positive energy that we seem to have. And I was blown away by how many people, even people we were interviewing, kept telling us, we're gonna succeed at what we're doing. For sure, I would definitely come back again next year.
Yeah, I mean, lightning fast. I really hope we get to be involved again in this, but I have a feeling next year it's gonna be a much different situation when we walk through those doors. The amount of episodes that we'll have out, with the amount of contacts that we made, the amount that's gonna happen over the next year. You know, if things go the way that these folks at the event are talking, there's going to be a lot that happens this year, and there's going to be a lot of discussion on these things, and I'm really looking forward to next year's Contact in the Desert. It's gone on way too long where people have gotten criticized for discussing this stuff, and this needs to get worked out, and that's what the Edge of Wonder is going to do, I think.
Yeah, it was just great. It really exceeded the expectations that I had, for sure.
That much history, truth coming out, different people involved in these things who've been collecting this information for so many years, putting their lives on the line in many cases. Just an awesome event to go to and to experience all of that, to make new contacts, to make new friends, to be able to deliver new content to our viewers, which is like what Ben and I are all about, you know, like this stuff needs to get out there and it needs to be mainstream.
What we realized there, it's like, wow, we are now part of this disclosure that we want to bring to the world. And I think that's the most amazing thing, is seeing disclosure on stage happening right now about all of this. And to be a part of this is just amazing.
It's tough for people to talk about these things, but we should be able to talk openly about them. This is a free country and a free world to do that. And, you know, let's get the word out there about this stuff, especially if it's true.
Hopefully more people can be more open to a lot of more things out there.
It was a wild ride. It was really fun.
Contact in the Desert is the biggest conference in the world. I'm privileged to be a part of it.
Just notice moment to moment has been the best highlights, like the synchronicities, bumping into this person, that person. What I was really surprised about, some of the people I really admire that are other speakers that I haven't had the chance of meeting, they're like, oh yeah, I follow your work, I've got quotes of you in my book.
The idea that humanity could be this unique thing, that's what's mind-boggling, that people can think that we're all there is, you know?
I think one of the things that's going to characterize the next 20 years is that we look at mysteries fresh, especially mysteries in science, and then anything that can't be explained by the known properties of physical matter in the current standard model is by definition not real, and I think that's pretty quickly being overturned.
And hopefully they'll get a better understanding and also see that there was a very advanced civilization here that came.
Their civilization was based on these what we would call high spiritual principles. We have lost something perhaps from a spiritual consciousness point of view.
I want to show these people that they were wrong, that what they did to me was wrong, that this is something that should be studied in universities, that shouldn't be, pushed aside. I want to show that these people, these bureaucrats, deep state, that it's wrong to do this to people who recognize the truth. They shouldn't be punished.
They don't want that. They need to protect their property. They want those cubicles filled, and they are not going to let that be interfered with by correct scientific findings. Scientists will never, ever get us to the truth of the world we live in. Only investigators will do that. Only investigators can get us there.
We're in this overlapping multiverse, and when we realize we're part of this overlapping multiverse, things like the Mandela effect and other crazy deja vu experiences and synchronicities will all be more meaningful when you realize we're overlapping right now, and it's an amazing time to be alive.
If you weren't backing me up, I would not be doing this, because it's just so dangerous, and I've already lost all my family. They just killed my dog recently, and, intentionally.
Sorry, man.
But it's okay. We're going to keep going. I'm not stopping.
This is exciting because it's making science exciting again. I think it's re-enchanting science in a way that is extremely needed, especially if we're going to create the tech that's going to kind of save us.
If you use your computers intelligently, you can stop war and you can stop polluting your planet. Now is the time to really look again to the message.
We're here to end this vicious cycle of life, death, birth, reincarnation, which keeps us locked in this dark, negative matrix of war and corporate economic slavery.
We're learning that we're living in a matrix, and every once in a while things get through the matrix and scare us.
So if we can wake up, become conscious, aware of what's going on, we have a chance of creating a better reality for all of us.
The truth is coming. And it has to do with your own experiences. That's what proof is. Proof is on the inside.
You'll see it coming ashore. It's coming ashore right now. In full disclosure, hopefully by the end of this year, 2018.
And I love hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much for interviewing me. This is a super high point for me. I would say it's like at the tippy top.
You heard it here.
And I will continue doing my part to be getting the truth out there. So long as you study and get the truth will set you free.
And we'll see you guys out on the edge.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of The Edge of Wonder. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode from The Edge of Wonder.